Just waiting on my PowerPoint. Good evening, New Life. My name is Amelia, and I'm part of Slovenia House Church shepherded by Eric and Yang Huang. I want to thank New Life for the opportunity to go on a 2-week medical mission trip to Kijabe Hospital in Kenya. The purpose was to serve at the hospital and encourage our long-term physician missionaries, Tony and Judy Wen, and their kids, Hannah and Austin. Leading up to it, my life was full. Running a Christian-based, non-traditional school after leaving a decade-long career as an infectious diseases pharmacist and faculty a year ago. My school ended a week before the trip, and I was doing everything but preparing for a mission trip. Honestly, I didn't feel strongly about going. My husband, Ju, did. I actually worried that being gone for 2 weeks would hurt my school enrollment, which is critical for our tiny new school. But God reminded me, this is my school, not yours. Don't make it an idol. Plus, my parents agreed to watch our 2-year-old Caspian, so Ju, my husband, Philip, our 7-year-old son, and I could go with our 4th team member, Chanel, an ICU nurse. That's the team right there, the 4 of us. In truth, there was no good reason not to go, and it was a chance to serve as a family, show our son a glimpse of life outside of the US, and see firsthand the life of long-term missionaries. And so we went. This is not the kind of mission trip where you do lots of manual labor and sweat. In fact, it's the opposite. It is freezing in Kijabe. As you can see, we were wearing winter jackets. And honestly, I didn't feel like I suffered much physically other than showering with freezing water. But that was just once. We figured it out. So I want to focus my testimony on the blessings I received during this trip. There were so many, and I'm just going to share 3 of them with you this evening so you will feel encouraged to go on a short-term mission trip. The first and greatest blessing was connecting with Anne. Anne is one of the only 2 Kenyan pharmacists in the whole Kijabe hospital. Anne is kind, funny, and intelligent. She lost her mom at a young age and had been adopted at age 13 by Kate Fletcher. Kate Fletcher is a woman who had lived as a nun in the US until she was 48. At that age, Kate fell in love with a dentist who was a widower with 11 kids. She left the convent and married him. Now, they were happily married, but after he died, she sold everything and she went to Kenya at age 64. That's right, 64, to care for orphans who lost their parents due to AIDS. She not only adopted Anne, but she also adopted many other young girls and built a girls' home and a school for them called Hekima Place just outside of Nairobi. She is now 86 years old, and she still drives in the roads of Kenya, which is dangerous and a health hazard. She runs a school and an orphanage, and she fundraises in the United States every year for her ministry. I told Anne that her mom, Kate, sounds like Julie Andrews from The Sound of Music, but on steroids. Kate is a living proof that God uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things when we obey. The second blessing was God reminding me that his timing is perfect. 3 weeks before the trip, the Kenya government specifically, stopped approving foreign medical licenses out of the blue. And Ju's dentist license was not yet approved. So we considered canceling. But the day before we arrived in Kenya, he was approved. So Ju was able to serve as a dentist while we were in Kijabe. That's one of the patients that he served and the rest of the dental team. God is always on time. I also actually didn't expect to serve as a pharmacist. I didn't want to. My pharmacy brain had been off for a year, and I planned to just visit the pediatric wards and orphanages with Philip, be more in a supportive role. But it turns out that Kijabe needed an infectious diseases clinician to help launch their antimicrobial stewardship program, which is exactly what I used to do in my previous life. So that's just a fancy term for helping providers use antibiotics judiciously. I was hesitant to do this, but God brought everything back faster than I expected. So I helped the team analyze their bacteria resistance patterns, optimize their antibiotic use, and taught the pharmacy staff antibiotic stewardship 101. Here's a picture of the pharmacy staff. On my last day, Anne, the pharmacist, told me that she believed God had brought me to Kijabe at just the right time. They had just begun their antimicrobial stewardship work, but they did not have any infectious disease expertise in the whole hospital. She said during my time there, she kept thinking of when Mordecai writes to Queen Esther, urging her to speak up to the king to save her people. She told me, "Who knows but that you have come for such a time as this?" Her words left a deep impression on my heart as I was overwhelmed by God's perfect timing. The last blessing was how God revealed to me one of my biggest sins, selfishness. Now, this isn't new. When Ju and I first started dating, he told me I was a special kind of fish, selfish. That's right. That's how you get a woman. You just gotta tell her the truth, you know? Now, I even shared this in my testimony at New Life about a decade ago, and I'm still struggling with selfishness today. During our team devotions every night, God opened my eyes through small moments. First, Chanel, our teammate, brought thoughtful and many gifts for the hospital nurses. This is a picture of Chanel with her crew of ICU nurses. She brought so many goodies for them, and they loved her and their goodies. But I had brought nothing for the pharmacy team. I didn't even think about it. Remember, I was doing everything except preparing for a mission trip? Right. Strike one. Then, when Ju had diarrhea one day, it was Judy, our long-term missionary, not me, who made him Korean rice porridge, juk. I assumed Ju was fine because he was cooking when I got home. So I went straight to work on my lecture for the pharmacy staff in the living room. Well, during devotion that night, God told me, "Homegirl, that's your husband. That should have been you." But I didn't think about it, okay? And if I was Judy, cooking Ju porridge would be the last thing on my mind. Why? Because Ju had earlier gone to Judy's house unannounced and blew up her toilet. That's right. If I were Judy, I would be busy disinfecting my toilet, not cooking him porridge. Judy's kindness exposed my self-centeredness. Strike two. Then later, after I gave my final pharmacy lecture for the pharmacy staff, Anne asked me if she could message me antibiotic questions from time to time because her specialty is oncology, not infectious disease. And instead of saying yes with joy, I felt afraid I wouldn't have time or answers. Again, I was focused on myself and not them. Strike three. I thank God for using this trip to remind me of my selfishness. I repented and asked him to help me love others the way he does. Tony and Judy showed me what loving others look like. We came to serve and encourage them, but truly it was the other way around. This is us with them on our last night before we flew back. And as for the school enrollment that I was worried about, well, 2 weeks before the trip, 5 new learners came out of nowhere and auditioned for our school after months of silence. And 5 may not seem like a big number, but it is a big number for our micro school of only 8 learners. All 5 were a great fit and they enrolled. God was telling me, "I got this. Go to Kenya in peace." God is faithful and he is always on time. He takes our imperfect intentions, reluctant obedience, and our offering, no matter how little, and multiply it in ways we will never expect. And if any of you think you're too old to go on a mission trip, think of Kate Fletcher. I want to thank Ju, my husband, for encouraging our family to go on this mission trip and encouraging me to step out of my comfort zone and be a pharmacist again, even though I didn't want to. For Philip, my son, for being a good sport and a source of laughter during the trip. This is a picture of him playing with the kids in the pediatric wards of the hospital. Chanel for being a cool, kind, and thoughtful teammate whom Philip very much adored. Our house church family, and all of you for praying for us, and for New Life for helping make this trip possible. I want to close by sharing with you a worship song that Kenyans love to sing. how they move. Kenyans just know how to dance. All right. They are saying hakuna usilowesa Yesu in Swahili. This means there's nothing you can't do, Jesus. And this is 100% true, but it does require us to say yes. We say yes, and God will do the rest. Thank you.